Welcome to a fun learning video. So I can imagine a lot of you are playing around with HR data and having a good time with it, human resource data. You might want to actually just build waffle charts. And so to build waffle charts around HR data, I thought what I wanted to do is really look at this and I wanted to create this chart. So I figured we would do it pretty quickly here. I did, in all fairness, use some other people's material from the World Wide Web because it was pretty creative people out there, these ambassadors and great Tableau analysts out there. So we'll give them a shout out for great waffles. And Belgian waffles in that one, pun intended. And no, I'm just kidding. Basically what we want to do, we want to create this chart. We want to do it in few tiny steps. The first step to create this chart is, see when I got it here, I can link, you can drag things into detail. So you can put whatever you want in the detail here. You can have it summarized. You can say one of this, one of that. You can build it. And the way it works is it's using an if-then statement. So it starts with the first condition, it runs through until it runs out. Then it goes to the second condition, then it goes to the third condition. That's important. So step one, load and convert data. So to do this, you need a Waffle template. And to get a Waffle template, I've created a Waffle template. And the Waffle template is rows, columns, percentage. Now, because we're going to have a 10 by 10 or 100 squares in this case, so you're going to want to have 10 instances. I better have gotten 10. I did. And to you want the intersection matching, and you're going to put the percentage at point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 100% to that point. And you're going to repeat that process in this one all the way down to, we'll get this, 10. So basically, you have the whole thing, which is 100 rows because we take away the title. So you create this spreadsheet. So then you come back in here, and step one is load data and convert. Let's go back to the steps real fast. Load data and convert to dimensions, create calculated fields. So create two dimensions. So we load it here, and what you would do is you would go data, new source, you pick your Excel from your template, you pick your Waffle Excel, sorry, you click Waffle because you will have it out there, you're waffling, and you'll bring that in. Now these will come in as measures, and you could highlight them and you can convert them to measures, but they need to really be converted to dimensions. So once they're in dimensions, you drag columns to columns, rows to rows. And you can see the measures are down here, and you make sure you get that done. It's important that they do that. It's also important that these are discrete. So make sure that there's discrete members and make sure that this is a discrete member. So then we have this matrix, and it's just waiting for something in the middle, right? Like it's hungry to eat, hungry to have those little waffle cakes in there. So, okay, step one. So let's go back to step two. Create calculated fields and primary data source. Okay, where does the data reside? So what we do if we go back to our HR data, or we can go data, new source, and I think that was in Excel. Grab Excel data, HR updated data, you click it, you bring it in. So when you're in here, you come back, and I want to play around with gender analysis. You can do this on any field, but we're going to do gender analysis. And here I can click drop down, create calculated field. The calculated field thing comes up, and I'm going to start writing a question, if gender, and start writing. Now, rather than sit there and spend too much time writing with this, I'm going to go to the actual calculations that I created for the gender calculations, and I created gender female, gender. I started with gender male, and in gender male, I wrote, okay, count D. First, I started with the easy formula. If gender equals M, then ID, otherwise end. All right. And then I wrapped it in a count distinct function. I put the if inside a count distinct function, count D, open parenthesis, and at the, around the end here, and I said divide by count D ID. So I can get a total of the whole relative ratio of IDs. So once I did male, then what I did was I right clicked and I duplicated the calculation. I made copies. And so then I clicked down, I clicked edit, and I changed this, say, from male to female, like that, and did that one. So, okay, I think that worked. And then you change the calculation to female. I already have one out there, so I'll make it female too, just for you to see how to create a calculation. So that was pretty good. And I won't female counts make a mistake. And then I finally put, I put this one out here. I thought about it. If it equals non-disclosed, then go ahead and just make it not disclosed and say, okay, that was all right. So I created the three calculations inside of here to create these three fields. I'll delete this extra field. I don't need this extra field, so I'll delete it. And I had that one. So that was part one. Then I go back to the Waffle sheet, create primary fields, create fields in primary database. All right, we did that one. Step three, create Waffle status percentage calculation. A little bit trickier. Click in here, and you could put a lot of things in here, but I just did this. Click here. So basically, you create calculated field, you go click here, and you go create calculated field, and you start writing your calculation. It could be against anything, but I'm going to share with my calculation here, and it's going to edit this calculation. So what I did here was I started with make sure this thing says valid down here. When you do it, you won't see valid to the end. So first of all, I started with this calculation in here, and the key on this is multiply by the hundreds to make sure we get all 100 blocks squared away. So if you were to change this to a 25 by 25 block, you'd have to change that to 25, 25, and 10, but whatever you wanted to number of blocks. So I basically created this. I did steal some of this logic, to be quite honest, that they did a nice job, but I did change the fields here. So if you want to grab these fields into this spectrum, you could just delete the whole thing. Hopefully this works. It was working beautifully. Then this was male. You go over here, move this out of the way, male, and you'll see the icon here. Oh, I lost where it was. Probably right here. Right there. And it goes in and it's still valid. And then I did the same thing. That was the male one. Then I said basically if the first condition is that, then it's male. And then the second else if, all I did was copy this down, literally. I copied that down. Well, that was not good. Control. It's just going to be stubborn. So I copied this down because it's exactly the same. We'll see. V, and I changed this to be else if. And then I changed it, right? I just said plus female, and then it's equals female, right? That's how I got that next line of code going. So we got the line of code to do it. So we end up with this, right? Like I said, I took male plus I added female, and I said then it's female, else not defined. So I tried to just, I know there's other genders, but we had not defined. Maybe I changed that to not defined in other. I can definitely do that. And it should just give me the final percentages without marking all the other ones. At least that was my thought going in, because I wanted to get where most of the things were up there. So I did. I put this calculation in. I'm not going to save it because we already did it. And I got that calc. So this was create Waffle percentage calc. So we had that. So that was good. Then I had to create marks. This is where I got tricky on here. I fixed it in my primary one, but not here. So what you do is you grab the Waffle percentage and you bring it over to detail, This is create marks, change this to colors, and it gives you this warning because you have to create a relationship. You can't blend the data sources. You could say do not show again because for this particular thing, it's okay. It's doing a cross-dimensional, cross-table calculation. So it's not so bad. You could just do that. So you create those marks and like that. So that was all right. I created those. But I'll show you how I started to work on creating a ghost relationship. It kind of had some mix. It works and it doesn't work. So I'm going to play with it. Then I come over here and I change the shapes. I click, well, in this case, you could custom shape. I just went and chose circle. And then I can click size and I can just size the circle, or I can make it a little smaller. You could also take it down like that. You can make it bigger. You can do different things. Or you could go back and you can show header and remove header, right? And you can show and remove rows. And so you can kind of have it. And you can write other calculations in here and show different things in the detail. Once you create relationships, it won't give you any errors. And you could do the same kind of thing to build them all in. But you clearly say we run through males until it ran out. Then we did females until they ran out, and it just did other. So the hence I was kind of cheating because once they ran out, everything else would be other. And I wouldn't have to actually classify 76 more of those relationships that may or may not exist. So that was interesting. And I thought that was a pretty good waffle chart. And I thought that was helpful. Hopefully, it gets you going on how to build one of these against the HR data set. As far as data relationships, I did create one and I'm playing with it. It did work. I built a custom relationship here to edit calculation, and I put just made it equal one, a text string one. I made it equal 1 to 1, and I made cardinality 1 to many because there's only one record for that. And so I was just trying to create a ghost type relationship here. And that way, and I made all records match. And for the most part, that worked without getting the error. So this one over here was able to, from detail to detail, whatever I wanted to show, that seemed to work just fine. Some of the other ones, not so much. But anyway, this is a good waffle chart. It was really done in 5 steps. You could get a lot fancier with it. You could put extra calcs, extra detail in here. There's a lot of things you could do. I hope this waffle video is useful. So I combined a couple things I found out there, and we'll just get a little fancier. But I think this at the moment is okay.